Well, this is one of the most pivotal weeks in football. How will it shake out? That's what I'm trying to predict here today. How's it going, everybody? I am Jason of Jason's Realm here, and today I'm here providing you guys my official NFL Week 14 predictions for each game. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. Before we do, I want to go over the playoff scenarios for this week. A lot of elimination scenarios, a lot of clinching scenarios this week. I'm going to go ahead and just slap them up around the screen here over the net while I'm speaking this. Y'all can read it for yourself. There is a lot to cover, so if I would do that, we'd be here all day. So let's go ahead and dive into my actual predictions. Alright, so we're going to start things off with Thursday Night Football. The New England Patriots taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game is going to be a hard-fought game between Mitchell Trubisky and I think Bailey Zappi, I think, is the starter for the Patriots this week. It's not going to be a fun show. This game could very well be one of those like 13-3 style games, but I do think the Steelers do pull ahead and keep their playoff hopes alive. I think the Steelers will try to rally around the injured Kenny Pickett and try to make sure that they can stay in playoff contention so that Kenny Pickett can return and carry the team to the promised land. Up next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons in a critical NFC South game. This game will be for potential control of the division, as the Buccaneers are only one game behind the Falcons. This game is absolutely essential for both of these teams. That being said, I think Tampa Bay does come out victorious. Tampa Bay is the underdog in a lot of people's minds, and I know that Baker Mayfield plays well when he's the underdog. Whenever everyone's rooting against him, he manages to succeed. So I do think that the Buccaneers do get it done this week in Atlanta. Let's go ahead and get this next one out of the way. Los Angeles Rams going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. This is going to be, I think it has a potential to be a high-scoring shootout offensively, but I do think the Ravens are the better team, and it's not even really close. So the Ravens should get a relatively easy victory at home, coming off the bye, as they will be fully rested and fully healthy. Up next, we got the Detroit Lions going to Chicago to take on the Bears. But the Bears have been looking good with Justin Fields. But the Lions finally started looking good. They looked great again last week. They got back on the horse. They had no turnovers. They played well, and they played cohesively. Now, if the Lions, don't put the Bears away, the Bears will still be in it, and this game could be close. But I do think the Lions do enough to get the win, and in convincing fashion, in Chicago. Up next, we got an interesting one here. The Indianapolis Colts going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Now, I would have said Indianapolis had this game in the bag going into Monday night without Joe Burrow and all that fun jazz. But Jake mother-loving Browning, pulling a huge game out of nowhere, proving that he is a formidable backup and he can carry the Bengals on his shoulders to lead this team where they need to go. That being said, I feel like the Bengals ride that momentum. The Colts have been riding a hot streak, and I do think that streak will come to an end against Cincinnati, as Jake Browning did look really good, and I think he can lead this team. Up next, we got a tough one to predict here. The Jaguars not ruling out Trevor Lawrence. This is Jags at Browns. They are not ruling out Trevor Lawrence for this week, but they are saying that he would need to make a lot of progress in his injury in order to play on Sunday. And the Browns have not officially named a starting quarterback, if it's DTR or if it's Joe Flacco. Those are two different variables, and basically if Lawrence plays, the Jags are going to win. But I don't think Lawrence plays. That being said, if Flacco plays, I think the Browns do pull ahead. And I do think Flacco's going to be the starter, so I am officially taking the Browns. But if DTR plays, I think that the pendulum swings back the way of the Jaguars, and the Jaguars end up getting a win. But my ultimate prediction is that Joe Flacco's the starter, Trevor Lawrence is out, and the Browns win in Cleveland. Up next, we got an interesting one here. The Carolina Panthers taking on the crumbling New Orleans Saints. The Saints sitting at 5-7, the Panthers 1-11. The Saints are one game off of division lead, tied or one game behind the Falcons. So that is going to be big for the Saints. They're going to be trying to play really well. But Carolina, when they had nothing, or their whole season to play for, but even though they knew they weren't going to make the playoffs, they still played with a lot of heart to try and beat the Buccaneers. And the Saints are very similar to the Buccaneers in a lot of ways. They have a lot of talent, but they don't play up to that talent all the time. So I do think that the Panthers managed to do a lot with a little and managed to get a big win in the Superdome and stun the Saints at home for a second week in a row. Up next, we got the Houston Texans going to New York to take on the Jets. This game is going to be a season-defining game for the Jets, but the Texans are trying to make the playoffs, baby. And that being said, knowing what the Texans are capable of, and the fact that the Jets don't really have a starting quarterback, the Texans defense should feast against that weak offensive line of the Jets, and CJ Stroud only have to do a little bit. Now, this will be his first real big test going up against a very good defense of the Jets, but I do think that the Texans get it done. Up next, we got the Minnesota Vikings going to Vegas to take on the Raiders. This one going to be a fun one. The Vikings are one of the fun teams to watch, but they have been struggling recently. The Raiders, having fired their head coach, starting to look better after the firing of Josh McDaniels, and these teams are both fighting for their playoff lives. I think, though, that at home, Allegiant Stadium is not an easy place to play. It's only in its second year of operation, but it is not an easy place. So I am going to take the Raiders to win this one in relatively convincing fashion. Aiden O'Connell is starting to look better, and I think that trend just continues this week. The Raiders using their effective weapons and getting a pretty solid win over the Vikings. Up next, we got a blowout here. Seattle going to San Francisco. Can we even be serious about this being a game? San Fran's going to blow Seattle out with the bathwater. It's not going to be close. Up next, we got a very, very important game. The Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Buffalo Bills. This game is big as the Bills are on the outside of the playoffs looking in, trying to claw back into the picture. But the Chiefs have been crumbling. They are still one game out of first place as we head down the stretch. That game could be very hard to make up, and this is a very solid chance against a weaker Bills team for the Chiefs to get that game back. But the Bills are playing for their season, but they are in a whole bunch of controversy right now after the whole Von Miller incident, and I just think that at home, Arrowhead's a tough place to play. They just lost to Green Bay. So Kansas City's going to be back with a vengeance this week, and it's going to be a big game for Kansas City and a win. Up next, we got the Denver Broncos going to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. This game going to be a fun one to watch just because it is two division rivals, but Denver is the better team right now. So the Chargers have not done a lot. They have not been looking great at all. They have been struggling. They only put up 6 points against the Patriots. Yeah, their defense let up none and they got the win, but only 6 points? Really? That's pitiful for an offense against any defense. I mean, so that way I think that the Broncos get the win just because the Broncos offense is going to be more potent than whatever the Patriots had. And it's going to be way more potent. So I think the Broncos are able to get points up, and the Broncos defense will just hold to get a win against the Chargers. Up next, we got a big one on Sunday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles going to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. And let's just say teams that have faced San Francisco have not had a good track record recently the week after, because San Fran plays a very physical game. But that being said, the Eagles are coming off of a big loss. But, and here's a big but, I think Dallas proves themselves this week. Teams have struggled coming off of a game against San Francisco, win or loss, and it's going to be in Dallas, which is not an easy place to play against a very formidable division rival. Dallas is hungry to try to win that division too, so it just leads to a very bad situation for Philadelphia, and I think Dallas pulls off the big upset here. Up next, we got the first of two Monday Night Football games, this one between the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins. And who are we kidding? The Titans are a sub-500 team. The Dolphins are going to run up the score and win by 30 points. And last but not least for this video, we have the Green Bay Packers going to New York to take on the Giants. This game going to be an interesting one as the Giants are technically not eliminated, still trying to fight for their playoff lives, but they do have Tommy DeVito as their guy. The Packers, on the other hand, are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Jordan Love is looking like the guy in Green Bay. And I think Green Bay goes into New York, goes into MetLife, and just absolutely demolishes the Giants, and it won't even be close. Well, that's about gonna do it for me today. If you guys did like, don't forget to smash like and subscribe, as it does help me out a whole lot. It tells me that I'm making content that y'all enjoy and that I should keep doing what I'm doing. And I guess if you haven't already, make sure you check out our power rankings. My power rankings down here for the week. We have a surprise team at number 10, by the way. And I guess with that, I will see you guys tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football, Yinzer stream. We're gonna try our best to do that. Things have gone kind of crazy the last couple days, but we will do our best to make sure we can still be there for that game. And with that, I will see you guys later. Peace out and have a good one.